what a great pleasure for me to be here. Thanks for having me. It's an honor, and I'd like to take you on a journey in which I would like to highlight how culture, execution, and strategy are a triangle of success to get into digital transformation. It was pretty much resonating with me when I heard the Porsche guys, and also earlier on some speeches, that the digital transformation is key to meet the challenges of the future. And I will get you through what our company is, how traditional are, what our background is, but we are challenged, and we have to address that. And I want to take you on a short wrap-up, what we did the last 3 years, to tackle that. And I will not go into the details of how we created the teams, agility, and so on, but I would like to give you a broader scope of what is needed on top of that, as I said, in the direction of culture, direction of strategy, to make this thing happen. So, most probably we are an IT company, maybe the biggest, probably one of the more interesting ones you've never heard of. Why is that? We are, and the text is giving a lot of detailed information, but basically we're 2,000 employees across the globe serving the metro universe of food retail. And this 2,000 people got through a quite drastic change in the last 3 years, and this is what I want to exchange with you. To understand the environment we started in and where we're coming from is we are actually a very old-fashioned company. We are operating food retail business across the Western hemisphere to Asia. So our most western part is Portugal, and we cross until Japan on the very far right side of the globe. And we do that with more than 1,000 locations, more than 150,000 employees, generating 37 billion of turnover in the food industry. Mainly, we're doing this in 25 countries, running the cash and carry business model. Cash and carry business model, in a nutshell, is serving professional food customers, running own hotels, own restaurants, catering companies, and trader business, like mom and pop shops, Kirana stores in Asia, you name it, who want to resell goods for consumption. And these are our main target groups. Now imagine this organization of 25 main countries, 35 including the delivery business, and a stakeholder organization in which we are trying to deliver IT products. We were perceived as very, very slow. 6 to 9 months, 12 months, a release. Then you delivered. It was the most possible minimum denominator across all demands which were handed in. We were not giving transparency across that. No. We gathered the demands, we worked on that, and then we delivered, maybe, after 12 months. So the trust in delivery was not really there, not really. And also the priorities were very unclear. So, how should we fix our broken house? And as I said, main story there is the triangle of success from our perspective. It's about executional excellence, to really know your development business and do everything around it. To base that on a basement of strategy and embed that in a culture where you not only can attract talent, but also retain talent and take your actual organization with you. How was that done in detail? Again, the whole story, agility is better to meet customer needs. We all buy that. Agile is good. Agile is cool. This is the main reason why we're all here. So we bought that, and we did that. But on the enterprise level, it's kind of tricky. There are stakeholders. There are multiple stakeholders. In our example, we have the head office organization with a lot of hippos, actually a very big zoo of hippos. And we have the country organizations who have all more or less an own head of the organization driving their own needs, and they know their business better. The business of cash and carry is in Western Europe different than in Asia. It's like that. So there are a lot of opinions. To put agile in this world is very, very tricky. It's very hard. So what we did, and I don't want to go into details, happy to join you during the night. We have a lot of time. We can have this discussion more as long as you want. But it's complex, it's heavyweight, it's really tough to implement agile on enterprise level. So what we did, and I don't want to go into detail there, we spread the demands in 3 lanes. We did a legal requirement, no discussion about it. You can get it. If there's a new fiscalation in Russia, we do it, no discussion. Then there is a second stream of minor items lower than 200,000 euros. I don't know, for us it's minor. And major developments above 200,000 euros are weighted by 3 independent councils, a strategy council, an IT council, and a finance council. And the score is then balanced finally by our operating board, so the highest cash and carry board, and they give an approval of all the items which should be done in the next 6 months. And this is the key element here. We are giving a full transparency about the next 6 months, and by that, doing so, finding a balance between agility and changing and adapting again and again, and giving the organization who have long-term business goals the possibility to leverage these needs. So this is the idea behind that. The PPM, so the project portfolio management principles are, it has to be strategy-driven, by the strategy council, has to be business value-driven. We have a business concept and a business case calculation behind it. We have defined iterations, so in this 6 months, this is the priority we are doing, and it should guarantee a measurable delivery. So with that, the house, the executional part, is fine. Agility, again, we changed into product management, we changed into DevOps, we changed into development, we went into all these new technologies and everything, and on top of that, we put this governance structure, and now we're delivering multiple times a day in comparison to 12 months delivery cycles. So this, at least for the customer and the volatile areas, is fixed. So execution, done. But this will not help alone. And as I said, we are not necessarily the most attractive IT industry. So if you have a high talent for engineering or product management, you name it, they are not necessarily thinking, yes, it was always my dream to work for Metro. I have to go there. This is not the case. So what we need to achieve is an environment and an ecosystem and a culture in which we can A, attract and B, retain the colleagues. So we created our vision and mission, and I don't want to go into detail, I will do this in a second. And based on this vision mission, we implemented and broke down following the mimosa principle, some of you might know, coming from vision, mission, into strategies, objectives, and actions, and broke that down and said, okay, for the first period, the next 2 years, we would like to concentrate on 3 key elements. So we want to concentrate on data, because data is also key in our industry. And actually knowing all our customers buying at us is a huge competitive advantage, and we want to leverage that. We, of course, want to work agile, and we put a strong focus on user experience, to have that perfectly tailored experience. We derived from that in the strategy process 5 so-called midterm goals. These midterm goals are the goals for the next year. These 5 goals are, we want to provide a world-class omnichannel solution, meaning we want to leverage the transactional potential of our countries by offering a state-of-the-art omnichannel solution. We want to offer a great place to work. We want to not only attract, but also retain the people. We understand data as key success factor. We reduce the complexity of solutions and processes, and we convey the value of our products and services clearly in our organization. We did not stop there, but we implemented objective and key results. Who's familiar with the approach? Okay, good. Then the slide is not for nothing. So I prepared a little overview how it is working. Actually, objective and key results is a quite nice a tool to break down overarching enterprise goals and targets into measurable items into the whole organization. How it is done? Imagine you have a football club, and the target is to be the most successful team in the league. How to measure that? We should maybe win the championship, and we should fill the stadium to a certain extent. Now, how can this be broken down into the teams? There's a coach, and there's a marketing team, and they have deriving objectives of that, and deriving key results. Then again, the marketing team not only has the fill rate stadium Executional, but there is a stadium team and a press team, and so on. You get it. So by doing so and by implementing that into our organization, we made sure that this strategic process, not only giving vision, mission, but also breaking that down in midterm goals and in objectives and key results, we made sure that the IT organization is running in one direction. So this is the overview, 3 to 10 years vision mission, molds. The PPM cycle is on 6 months layer. There we have the governance structure to show our priorities and the leverage of the topics from the business goals coming down and bottom up from the teams. And then there are the goals. So with that, we embedded the executional excellence into a strategy framework. But there's one central element. And I actually like Simon Sinek very much. There's another good statement, but I will stick with that for a second. Customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. And it is really necessary to digest that and to build your culture on that. Actually, we pushed very, very hard on culture. Tiffany was so kind to give this little example. It was unheard of I'm now working since 20 years in the company. It was unheard of that people from the business function want to actually work with the IT function. And this is now changed. I have actually complete business teams applying into the IT organization and wanting to join this new culture and way of working. So I assume this is a quite nice success. So what did we do there? We implemented a tool called Pecan. And why do I do that as first? Because it's a nice way of tackling new joiners into our organization and existing stuff in our organization. What is Pecan? Pecan is a software as a service tool, and maybe I get a nice bunch of flowers by them. I don't know. We'll see. Actually, what is done, every 4 weeks, we send out a little survey. And the survey is based on a random generated number of questions, roughly 10 per survey. These questions are giving 2 possibilities to answer to the employees. First, a score from 1 to 10 for the question. So the question could be, how much is your daily work resonating with the overall arcing targets of your organization? How much do you feel the purpose is given? And then you can say 1, very poorly, 10, very high. Out of that, the tool is generating an employee net promoter score. So here you can see the NPS score of my direct management team and my greater team. And this tool is not only allowing this measuring based on not only the net promoter score, but also you can see that below a bit, there are drivers of that. And this tool is giving you a very nice indication of which team has which topics to digest at the moment. It's not about finger pointing. It's not about management blaming. It's about clearly indicating what your culture, what your identity of the team is, and to have a possibility to react on that. Furthermore, it gives you the possibility to have an anonymized dialogue with your employee. So the employee has the possibility under this little score to say, why is that you answered that way? Yeah, because actually the feedback, and this is the example here, the feedback I get is not often enough. And I don't want to sugarcoat. This is also an example out of my organization from the 8th of October, and said, basically, feedback, I rate a 5, and this is the reason. I blurred the manager out because the manager is visible to the employee by name, and also I am visible and HR is visible in the tool. And we can get into conversation with this still anonymous employee. You only get the team when you have more than 5. So it's reflecting that the anonymity is guaranteed also in smaller teams. So I love this tool. It's really bringing a lot of good feedback culture into the organization. What we also did is we rebranded. We were formerly known as Metro Systems. It was the name we went through a couple of years. But we thought, no, we changed so much, we have to rebrand. And we really have to be more public with our change. And therefore, we said we are METRONOM. We're setting the pace for retail and food. And we started this rebranding with a very disruptive hiring campaign in Berlin, which was called Take the Exit. And we were getting in the fields of the startups where maybe engineers are who are already in their 5th or 6th financing round, and they're not. So maybe they would like to take the exit, which would be a good story for us to hire them. And this was the launch of our company. We rebranded. We created a big brand ambassador team. So we asked everybody who wants to be a brand ambassador, who wants to report on Twitter, on social media about METRONOM, who wants to be part of that. And this is an excerpt. And it is not, there's nobody forced to do. This is just the people came up saying, yeah, that's a great idea. And you can see the T-shirts also was never heard of. We gave them the T-shirts, of course. But a couple of days later, there were some people running around in white shirts and brown shirts. And I was actually asking my branding colleague, like, are we doing now brown shirts? He said, no. And I was getting to this colleague, said, where's the brown shirt? Yeah, actually, I like the METRONOM stuff, but the color was not matching, so I ordered one in the internet for me. So I think this says a bit about the cultural change and about the identity of the people. Actually, we did a real salary study. So what we did is we looked into all roles, matched them to the industry relevance, so product owner, engineer, data scientist, you name it, and looked into it. And while the median was slightly above industry standard, we still had 30% of the individuals which were not paid within the bandwidth the salary started. And we made this transparent. We raised the salary of the 30% to give the people the feeling that they're appreciated, that they are fairly paid, and it was a very big topic for us. We gave them the possibility to create team tenants. So team tenants meaning we gave them a complete day with educated staff, and they went there and did their team rules. And it's a pretty intense experience for the teams because they have to align on all the items in this team tenants. They have to agree on a consensus at the end of the day. And you can imagine that discussions like that in a culture which is going in a very positive direction can be very intense. So it was a strong success. We created values. So we looked into, you can, if you type in values in Google, you will find a list of maybe 100 values you can relate to. And we identified 6 core values for our organization and not only implemented that as part of our identity, of our branding, but we also put that into our feedback loops. We put that into our hiring process. Earlier on, we heard about hiring only from the heart, and this is also what we do. We trained a couple of colleagues as so-called value-based hiring champs, and they are now doing a completely independent hiring interview from the functional organization. And if this hiring champ is saying this person is not matching our cultural identity, he or she has a complete veto right. So we will not hire this person if it's not matching to our values. So it's teamwork, trust, respect, passion, sense of purpose, and ambition. So with that, the magical triangle is set. I have 2 minutes and 25 seconds left. Yes! So, let me wrap it up. We are only at a stage of a journey. We started 3 years ago, highly complex, multi-layer stakeholder organization, and we not only implemented the agile ways of working, but we tried to find an adaptation out of that for us. It was quite painful. We started with internal product owners and external developers, excellent developers, by the way, from Thoughtworks and from 2 other software providers. And we are now slowly moving into internalize these resources into own developers by hiring them, as I just described. But we have also a couple of lessons learned. So A, the journey is not done. B, what are our lessons learned? We have now a composure of people who were always in the company since 10, 15, 20 years, and the newcomers. And you can imagine that the newcomers are adapting that quite fast, and the existing colleagues have their, well, maybe they have their thoughts about it. They might not be feeling completely comfortable, and this is one of the lessons learned. Listen, and this is why I also highlighted pecan. Listen to the colleagues, get in constant contact with them, and talk about it. The next lesson learned is this 2,000 people in the IT company compared to the 150,000 colleagues outside are now creating a bit of a turmoil. If now suddenly business teams are trying to get into this culture, it is sometimes a bit tricky to argue that in the business organization because they have to change. We are now asking for KPIs. We are asking about why do you want to do that? What do you want to do? And don't tell us how to do it. We are trying to bypass the hippos. And the change management in the greater organization, we are far not done. The OKR process might help us about that. We are now trying to get, and the first country organizations also adapted the idea of OKRs and also the pecan. So we are moving, and it's a bit of an inside-out job. But what definitely helped, and this is the next learning, is a strong commitment from our senior management. I had the pleasure to work with 2 great CIOs. The first one was a bit of a he had this burning sort of change, and we broke all the crust in that. So there we brought in the agility, the processes, you name it. And now the second one, Timo, joined us as a digital native, and he's really driving this cultural change, and he's a great pusher for that. So we learn every day from him about that. Yeah, and actually the final thought, when people come to me or ask via Pecan, so yeah, okay, here in METRONOM everything is all right, we are on a good track, but as soon as I work with the business colleagues, as soon as I get in the greater hemisphere, it's really tricky for me. It's hard, Sven. It's what can I do? And then constantly the message is, you not only have your functional task, you have a constant second job, and this is being the change agent, being the change manager of this into the organization. Persuade it. And I have a very nice example of a young PO colleague who wrote last week a mail to our French organization. It's a very strong organization, very successful organization. And she wrote that actually, don't tell me what I have to, how I have to do stuff, but tell me what and why, and I will be very happy to do that. And tell me how your business KPIs we should influence with that. And I think this is a nice little example of the culture we want to adapt to. And with that, let me close. Rico is with me. He's one of the ones since years, the last 3 years, we are both on this journey. So if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to have a talk in the evening or tomorrow in the breaks. Again, a lot of thank you for your attention and for having us. Thanks a lot.